And I'd like to talk about specific components of it where I think it depends, and the story's not been told yet. It's not untold that it's not complete. When you look at a project of this nature, you have engineering design, you have construction. After construction, it's in operation. So the question I have regarding it depends on whether it's an $11 day or an economic boom is what's going to happen in each of those areas regarding this project, and how will that benefit us as Bahamians. Let's go from the bottom. When it's complete and it's operational. Certainly is it not true when we see an operating resort, we know who's in a leadership position, who the managers are, who are the leaders of operations, and we know if they're foreign or they're Bahamian, and if Bahamians are getting a true shot at participating in the management of a world-class resort. There's an in-place check and balance that exists with that, and I think that will continue with Baha Mar in a perfectly fine fashion. Let's step up to a little closer to the near term. Construction. We see in the papers that the government is very cognizant of the integration of Bahamian contractors and Bahamian workers in the construction process. It's certainly controversial. There's certainly a lot of work being done. But there's an awareness. There's an awareness of the importance of how construction gets completed and what role Bahamians have in that. You know, just looking at that for a moment, 8,150 work permits being requested. You know how that relates to, for example, the stadium? No more than 186 Chinese workers on site at any point in time on the stadium. So we're talking about for Baha Mar, a 40-fold increase than what we've authorized for the stadium project. Baha Mar is over a $2 billion project. It's going to need a lot. But let's at least be thankful that from the construction side, whether it's Bahamas Contractors Association, the government itself, or Baha Mar, they understand that they need to address construction. Now let's come to the first step that happens in projects of this magnitude, and that is engineering. You know, engineering can be completed and is completed behind closed doors in offices. It's completed remotely, if necessary, and many times it's done remotely. What does that lead to? That leads to what I consider the invisible Bahamian profession. Engineering services can be completed abroad, brought into our country, passed through the approval process, and a hugely important professional sector in our country be left behind. It is absolutely critical that whether it be Baha Mar or other projects, that Bahamian engineers be integrated into the process. It is easily 90% of the revenue in professional engineering services is spent abroad on projects completed within our country. It is something that is controllable and changeable. And I think when it comes to Baha Mar, it's absolutely critical that they continue down the process that they've begun, which is utilization of Bahamian professionals. But let's stop for a moment and think about what an engineer means to a society. You look at the UK, at the leaders, the CEOs of politicians, those that lead in the UK, what's the #1 profession? Right? Lawyers, right? That's all I can say. So lawyers are the #1 profession within those positions of authority. You know what the #2 profession is? Education background of the leaders in the UK, it's engineering. It is critical to the fabric of a society and a nation that engineers have economic viability and the ability to participate in their practice, and thus also participate in their community and become the leaders that shape a nation. When you look at this invisible Bahamian profession of engineers and look at Baha Mar, the question is, where does the government stand with regard to engineering? Well, I'll share some background regarding the government's position on engineering. They passed the Professional Engineers Act in 2004. They have supported the appointment of a professional engineers board to license engineers. That board, as Bradley King mentioned, approved, and the first group of engineers was presented on Monday of this week. And they also support societies such as the Bahamas Society of Engineers. And if you look, for example, at this flyer, this is the Engineering, Design, and Construction Conference, Bahamas Society of Engineers, December 3rd, will be at the Sheraton. When you look at this program, I'll leave several here. Minister Fenton Nemore, Minister Earl DeVoe, Minister Nico Grant, and Prime Minister Hubert Ingram are all not only attending, they're participating in this event. Now the question comes, how does support convert into economic prosperity, jobs, and participation in a project such as Baha Mar? Well, it takes advocacy, it takes knowledge, it takes education, it takes not just the government, Baha Mar, society such as the Long Society of Engineers, but it also takes the community, and the community realizes its importance. And I just stop and I'll ask you a question. We'll do a quick hand vote here. We're talking engineering, design, or resort operations and management. Do you yourself have a role in any one of those three, or someone close to you, family, or very close? Anyone have themselves, family members, or someone close to them in their circle involved in engineering, construction, resort operations, and management? Now, yeah, I know you're eating. Now, your hands still work, though. You guys one. All right. So about half the room. We know that, right? We know Baha Mar matters. We know a project of this size will matter. It will have an impact on us economically. So it's imperative that the entire Bahamian community make sure all aspects of Baha Mar get handled, including the professional engineering practices. When I look at what the next step is for the government, as they're doing on the construction side, to advocate also on the engineering side. I ask that you consider in your day-to-day life, your leaders of this community, to also think about those you may interact with, even if it's just a side conversation, to make sure that you make mention of the importance of engineering. And remember, engineering doesn't end when the design is over and they're constructing. There's operations oversight of all of the infrastructure that requires engineering services throughout the life of the project. If I look at the existing projects here, in New Providence in particular, there are foreign groups that come in to do engineering oversight, maintenance, inspection, that are capable Bahamian engineers to do here locally. So we need to stay vigilant to make sure all throughout the life of a Baha Mar that we have a stake and a say-so in it from an engineering standpoint. I'll leave you with something that my father used to say to me. Many, many a time my father said to me, Robert, I don't care what you do when you grow up. If you want to be a beach bum, be a beach bum. But if you're going to be a beach bum, you better be the best beach bum you can be. And I have a mission as the President of Long Society of Engineers to be the strongest advocate for Bahamian professional engineers that I can. And I truly believe that Baha Mar can and will be a Bahamian engineering success. Thank you. I think there's questions. Yes?
I'm getting ready to go. Question there. All right, questions.
Thank you very much, fellow attorneys. So you have some questions for our guest speaker. Chris?
Chris, I think from the tone of your presentation that currently there's no legislation in place to mandate that Bahamian engineers be involved in projects in the Bahamas. Is that the case? And if so, what is the society doing in terms of advocacy to change that?
We're right at the cusp of a change relative to the requirement to use Bahamian professionals. It's really not a requirement to use Bahamian professionals.